Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar where we will cover 2022 year-end gifting and planning with 529s. Today's webinar is sponsored by Ohio's 529 CollegeAdvantage.
Thanks, Paul. Sorry, just to start with some housekeeping, I do just want to note that we will have the audience chat enabled today. So in the Zoom control panel, you have access to the chat and can engage with our speakers and audience today, and participation is encouraged. We'll also have Q&A throughout the webinar. In the control panel, you also have a Q&A button where you can submit questions at any time. And if we don't get to your question today, we'll follow up with you afterwards. Today's webinar will be recorded and you will receive the replay information in approximately 24 hours. And there is a brief survey at the end of the webinar. We appreciate any feedback that you have with us. And now I will hand it off to Paul and our presenters.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Tara. Much appreciated. I'm your host, Paul Curley, Director of 529 and Able Solutions with ISS Market Intelligence. And today we are joined by Tim Gorell, Executive Director of Ohio Tuition Trust Authority. Today's agenda, we have a number of topics that are geared towards year-end planning and year-end holiday season. First is holiday and year-end gifting strategies with 529s, 529 reminders, tips, and best practices for year-end planning. We have a new addition to our Mythbuster series, and for market data that we like to cover every quarter, 529 market data trends, a couple of industry announcements, product releases, research releases. At the end, we do have a dedicated section on questions and answers, but we will be taking the questions and answers throughout. We do have the quick housekeeping in terms of functionality. There should be a chat button that will allow users to just chat throughout the session. That is visible to all speakers. We also have a Q&A section as well. Thank you, Mike, for the question already coming in, which is great to see. And as Tara mentioned, we do have the recording available, post session. And there's a brief post session webinar survey to improve over time as well. Overall, this series is today's session is a continuation of our webinar series that we started in 2020. And the real goal is to share and learn best practices, support the industry and community, but also to create that long-term growth by keeping the ongoing product training, product developments, updates, news, and trends and things of that nature. We'll also have a quick save the date for 529 Conference 2023, September 19th to the 21st. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Florida. More to come on 529conference.com website. As we jump in, we'll jump in quickly to holiday and year-end gifting strategies with 529s. With Tim. Tim, do you want to provide yourself a larger introduction and then we can jump into today's first section? Thank you.
No, I like just to take the time to talk about the 529. I guess I should add a disclaimer. I am the executive director for Ohio's 529 plan. We're a state of Ohio agency, so we're not for profit. We fall under the Department of Higher Education. And by law, I am not at liberty to give tax advice or financial planning or that type of advice to people who are listening. We'll simply facilitate information and answer any questions the best that we can. So any conversation, I think, about 529s, before you get into what a 529 is, and I know we have a broad listening base or viewing base here. Some of you are very familiar with 529 plans, some to varying degrees of 529, and others just looking for information about 529 plans, given maybe a situation in life right now or that you've heard about it. But as I started to say, I think that any conversation about a 529 plan has to start with why a 529 plan. I think you have to start from the basis that for a given beneficiary that they will do something after high school. And this may be a trade school, a technical school, 2-year, public, private, in-state, out-of-state. What I'm trying to say is it may not necessarily be a brick and mortar 4-year college and pursuing a bachelor's degree in a given discipline. And so those will have some sort of cost to it. And so many people today, and it's increasing each year, are relying on loans to pay for those expenses. Now, the downside to that is that a person works hard, they come out the other end with the certification, the training, the degree, whatever the case may be, and going into an exciting field only for the foreseeable future and many, many years, paying $300 to $400 a month to pay back the loan. This comes at the expense of saving for retirement, maybe buying a home, maybe starting a family, any of a number of things. So a 529 plan is an alternative to that. It's simply a tax advantage way to save and invest for those possible education expenses after high school, and for some other things too. We'll get into that further into our discussion here. As I said, after-tax dollars are invested in stock market options. These grow tax-free, and whenever they're used for qualified expenses, there is no tax consequences. 529s have been around since the mid-90s, and a few handful of states, whenever federal legislation was established, 529 comes from the Internal Revenue Code 529, that part of the code. And it was linked that a state entity would have to manage these types of investments. Some states, the 529 falls under the Treasurer Estate. As I mentioned, ours falls under the Department of Higher Education, and yet another states may have a standalone state entity, but all of them are state-controlled, state-operated entities. Every state now in the country, with the exception of Wyoming, has a 529 plan. You're not limited. You don't have to invest in your state. Like anything else, we would recommend that you do your homework, shop around to see what the best option for you is. Some states offer a state tax benefit to their residents who invest into their 529 plan. States that don't have an income tax, that is a moot point. A thing to consider is the fees. Maybe your state has a generous state tax benefit regarding the investments in it, but the plan offers fees. And so how does that measure out? So the thing to do is to shop around, look at a plan, and if that's the best fit for you to start saving and investing, do so. The thing to take away from this is just because you invest in your state's plan doesn't mean you need to go to an education opportunity into that particular state. Here in Ohio, we'd love people in Ohio across the country to choose our plan to save and invest for these education expenses. Come out to an exciting, or pick a great education opportunity here in Ohio, come out to an exciting career opportunity here in Ohio, live, work, and thrive, but not everybody's going to do that. And so it's across the country. A 529 is a 529 tax advantage way to save and invest, and you can take those savings and investments and apply them to education opportunities across the country. Any education entity that has a federal code, you can use your 529 for. So what is, there are several ways of presenting and inviting your attention to to saving versus borrowing, and that's what we're trying to accomplish on this slide here. if you, using just a number of $50,000, if you saved $50,000 versus borrowing $50,000. So depending on when you start, we're asked when's the best time for, to start savings. We would urge people to consider doing it whenever a baby is born, a child or a grandchild is born, to start saving. And while it's unclear that you can predict that this baby is going to grow up to be an accountant, or they're going to be a hairstylist, or any of a number, you pick the profession. Again, going from that assumption, there's going to be some costs associated. The sooner you start, the better. But by no means should people feel that they're limited, that baby comes up on kindergarten or middle school or even high school, that it's too late to save. Today's the best day to start, and the best time to invest for those expenses. And so this slide, what it depicts is if you started whenever a child was born and you had $50,000 through the market and the growth of those savings, you may have upwards to $150,000 available whenever that beneficiary goes on to those education opportunities. And if that covers all the expenses, you don't have to pay any of that back. Whereas you look at the right-hand side, there is, that's all you have to work for you, that $50,000 that you borrowed, and it's not going to growth. And then over the life of it, as you're paying it back, you could pay upwards to upwards to $80,000 in paying back that loan that you took out. So what can you use a 529 for? We say that if the funds are withdrawn and used for qualified expenses, there's not a tax implication. So the 529 can be used for tuition and fees, room and board, books, computers, and any expenses that are related to that education entity. Was added in 2018 was you can use up to $10,000 for K through 12 tuition, whether that's in a private, religious, or any type of education opportunity entity that you're paying a tuition for. That's per beneficiary, and it's up to $10,000 per year can be used to defray those expenses. Now you might want to step back and say, well, wait a minute, you're talking about education expenses after high school. Here's K through 12. Again, the rules for a 529 are established by the federal government, and Congress sought to add this as a qualified option, for 529 expenditures. And again, that's just for tuition. Added in 2019. We talked about loans and recognizing that loans may be inevitable, even if you're saving. Maybe you didn't save enough, or maybe your saving strategy was to save partly, part of the expenses, and then use maybe other resources or even the loans to pay for the rest of it. You can use up to $10,000 per beneficiary toward repaying student loan payments as well. And that's not limited to a given calendar year. That's if whenever those loans come due, and if you have some 529 resources, you can apply those up to $10,000 toward that student loan repayment. So Paul talked about gifting, and so what about gifting? It is the holiday season. We hear all too often from parents, grandparents that kids have enough things. So why not consider contributing to that beneficiary, a special beneficiary, the special child's 529 plan? It's very easy to do. Our plan, for instance, whenever an account owner opens an account, they're given a UGift code, and we use the UGift platform for the gifting. What that enables the account owner to do is they can share that gift code with family, friends, anyone that may be wanting to give that beneficiary, that child, a gift in the form of a 529 contribution. There is no personal identifiable information connected to that. It is simply a gift code that if a gift giver uses that, then those funds or that gift will be deposited or put into that 529 account. And again, as far as look at your states, like here in Ohio, whenever you come to filing your income tax, I'd ask you, have you contributed to a 529 account? You don't have to be the account owner or a family member per se, to be able to do that. You can still take advantage of Ohio's state tax benefit in that regard. Other states may vary. You would have to look at what your given state or what that state offers to. And what better gift though than a legacy gift like this? It's whether it's birthdays, holidays, special occasions, graduations, or various achievements. Why not consider that gift it's a legacy gift? It's not going to wear out in a short period of time. They're not going to outgrow it. It is something that has a lasting and a very valuable and appreciative meaning to it. So with that, I think that's the overview of 529s in general, and I'll be happy as we get into Q&A to delve in deeper to any of those topics or anything else that I haven't touched on to help further your understanding and what 529s can do and what a valuable asset 529 plans are.
Thank you, Tim. We did have a reader question from Yosh. How much in aggregate terms do people gift towards College America 529s overall from our market data? And we collect data from all the different participants. It's material, it's large, and it's frequent. And there's the birthdays, there's the year end. But do you have a way that you typically respond to, like in how much in aggregate people give towards CollegeAdvantage, or?
No, we don't have that. It's a very good question, and that we know that it becomes increasingly popular, and that comes as a result of what trust in the systems as far as contributing. That the gifting's not going to go somewhere else. We continually work our webpage, to amplify and to highlight and to make it easy for people to do gifting. And also that we've launched a mobile app this year, and coming enhancements will provide for that, to be able to, for people to contribute. And again, I don't have any statistical data on that, but just feedback from people when we communicate about this, and we see an increase and people going that way, because I haven't had anyone when I say parents, grandparents say kids have enough stuff. I haven't heard anybody say, oh no, you're mistaken. They need more stuff, and they nod in agreement that saving for those education experiences after high school may be a better way to go.
Agreed. A recent data point that I came across that I thought was very intriguing was that over 17% of last year's holiday gifting was returned. So these are people who, you give someone a gift for the holiday, you did all the time, you did the effort, you drove to the mall or you ordered online and you got them the gift and they return it. So for my take, it's like you should give the gift that they'll actually use and that they actually need, which is saving and paying for future educational expenses. As someone who comes from a data person at heart, I really enjoy learning your survey stats around the survey of parent, the survey of the grandparent. You had a great ad around it, but I don't want to steal the thunder. Do you want to provide the walkthrough, the storyboard? For the percentage of parent, the parent perspective, the grandparent perspective on that gifting side, or?
Well, yeah, we did do a survey on that, and it's just a matter of having a conversation. It's roughly 87% of parents would like their parents to help out with these expenses. And conversely, 90% of grandparents want to do that. And it's like many things, it's a matter of communication, just having that, of saying, hey, mom and dad, the kids have enough stuff, and I know that you would like to help them. And wow, this would be a great way to help. And I'd like to add too that we even have great gift cards for those occasions. We can send those to you, so at least there's a little something that signifies that gift's been made. And then, the other part, and we certainly can go into, is just the gifting tax advantages that the federal government has provided those parameters. I mean, it can be small gifts. Minimum $25 is all it takes for a contribution, and then those can go upwards to the hundreds or thousands of dollars, whatever the case may be. And as to your point, Paul, it's a gift that they're not going to return, and there'll be truly a lifetime benefit out from it.
We do have a question coming in from Matt Sullivan. Is the $4,000 Ohio tax deduction a limit per donee or per recipient? The donor, Tim, you're probably more familiar with your in-state component, but I do, from my take, it would be really that year end's a good time to take a look at these larger goals. Is it a good time to make the 1 year like that year end contribution to get up to that number? But Tim, do you have any thoughts on that opportunity at the end of the year?
Yes, that's true. And thank you for that question, because sometimes people think that that's a max contribution limit. And that's simply not the case. And these will vary from state, but Ohio is the minimum contribution is $25. And then each year there's an assessment made about what the max contribution for a plan can be. And this year in Ohio, it's $517,000. And next year it's going to go up to $523,000. So you got a large range in there. And the 4,000 is only what Ohio has said as far as taking advantage. So if you contribute anywhere from $25 up to $4,000 in a given year per beneficiary in Ohio's 529 plan, and you're an Ohio resident, then you can take that amount off of your Ohio taxable income. Now, if you have two beneficiaries and you've gone that $4,000, that makes $8,000. And should you go over that amount, it has unlimited carryover. So that can go over to next tax year. Maybe you want to get up to that in that next year. And even if you do and you go over that, you can carry over to the next year. And so that's a great feature of that. And but by no means is that a limit. It's $4,000 per beneficiary, and and that applies to your Ohio state taxes.
Sounds great. And as I like to do on these webinar series, I like to think about some book. That this one is Nudge, and it really kind of reiterates the importance of just saving small percentages and saving 1%. How do I get started? Just save 1% of your income, and maybe every year just increase it by 0.5% or 1%. And it seems small, but going from 1% to 2%, you're literally doubling the amount or rate at which you're saving. And that idea of taking the baby steps is just a great opportunity. Another idea for year-end planning is year-end's a great time of year just to take a look at what happened in 2022. Perhaps you saved too much or too little. More likely than not, you're in the bucket where perhaps you wish you would be saving more. So year-end is a great time of year to take a look at where one wants to go in 2023. And so raising that automatic contribution is a great way to go. Another cool year-end idea that I came across was just sending a link, like a gifting link, like a UGift link, along with the semester end grades or year-end grades. So I know for my children in grade school, they get grades twice a year, one in December and one at the end of the year. So just sending the grades along with someone who may be interested in supporting someone's educational goals is a great opportunity for year end as well. So just thought about that one, and so thought to share. But as we kind of think about 529 reminders, tips, and best practices for year-end planning, Tim, just to know if you had additional reminders, tips, best practices as we kind of get towards that year-end side. From a parent perspective, employer perspective, just thought to ask, broadly speaking, for you, Tim.
Well, I think you hit on a big one, and I don't think that there's harm in being redundant on that. It's important to start. So many people there's a notion that the 529 plan is for the extremely wealthy people, and that's just simply not the case. If people that are extremely wealthy can write a check And then people that aren't are looking for different ways to save for education. So the thing to do is get over that inertia. There's a biblical saying that the farmer that waits for perfect weather never plants. And so there's probably never a perfect time. But as Paul suggested, start modestly. Maybe it is just that $25 per pay period, or $25 a month, or whatever the case may be. There's no right answer to this. What we found is people who are saving and they start it, they're going to contribute again. It's just getting over that initial hurdle to start. So maybe you did start to say modestly, like $50 a month. And you realize that, well, that's not that painful. We could probably up that. Maybe there are some expenses that have vanished. Maybe there's a pay raise involved in a job. Any of a number of things, or just the fact that it's we can do this. And then you increase it, and so then you're off to the proverbial races, so to speak, if you consider doing that. And again, maybe your strategy is that as well. Maybe it's just a lump sum kind of sequence on that. It's like a given time of the year, we're doing this gift to the kids at the end of the year, around this time of the season, the holiday season. There are just many ways of doing that, but to do it, again, going back to the enemy here, the enemy is loan debt. And it should, as you're thinking about these things, that should be what keeps you up at night. That if you come out at the other end of the education experience strapped with debt, and it just all these other things that it comes at a high cost.
Sounds great. And today is December 14th at 2:30 p.m. Federal Reserve and Jay Powell are probably going to present pretty soon, and top of mind for me as the interest rates are set to increase. I would probably say that 529 reminders, tips, and best practices, that as the interest rates go up, the student loan rates will probably float up inversely. The Fifth Third CD rate will probably also float up. Is it currently at 3.5%, or is it going to go up post change? I'm very intrigued at that great CD return. So just curious as to how that works when that's said, and just more information. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, our principal partner, one of our principal partners in our direct plan is Fifth Third Bank. And not every 529 plan offers a banking product or has a relationship with a bank. We do. And to the point about interest rates, it really has not come up, because it, like the regular savings and CDs, the interest rates haven't been very high, but with the movement of interest rates, we're seeing an increase on that. And so given our particular partner, they've raised interest rates to 3.5% on CDs, for the 12, around a year and a half mark level. And that's higher than their regular offerings as far as passport savings. So what's the advantage in that? This is a great time actually to be investing in savings if your beneficiary is younger. You have time, and history is on our side, that the market will come back, and things will will be good. However, if you're nearing that time, like retirement, or you're nearing towards that time, or you're using these 529 funds to pay for those education opportunities, you might want to consider moving some of these savings into a CD or 529 savings account. It has the same benefits. It's not taxable, but then you're preserving your wealth, and you may grow a little bit with that 3.5% interest rate that's out there. But it's insured. Unlike the investments into the stock market, those aren't insured or guaranteed. But with this, you're preserving your wealth.
Great, thank you, Tim. And a couple other 529 reminders and tips. Like one is, as I always pound the table, is don't leave money on the table. Over 30 states provide tax credits or deductions. So broadly speaking, that as we get towards that year end, if you want to reduce your tax liability as we approach year end, make the contribution to the 529s. Another reminder is that the distributions need to be taken in the same calendar year, not academic year, but the actual calendar year as the qualified expense. So it's a lot of folks make the confused that it's like, oh, it's the same academic year. No, it's the calendar year that in the calendar year that you make the have the expense, you need to take the distribution. And as much as I on one extreme probably definitely agree with starting small, $6 a day. Inversely, on the other side of the spectrum, there's a couple different scenarios. One is making the with 529 plans, you can make a 5-year gift. So as of 2022, one can make the contribution up to $16,000 without gifting estate tax clauses. So one can gift 80,000 today into the 529 plan. A second scenario, which is kind of intriguing, is that you can put in 16,000, this year to hit this year's cap, and then on January 1st, 2023, you can put in the new annual cap of 17,000 in one contribution, in one contribution, make a 5-year gift of that 17,000 for a total of 85,000. So today, put in 16,000. January 1st, put in the 85,000, and it's $101,000 that one can give towards education in a fairly short period of time. That is per parent, that is per beneficiary, and broadly speaking, some of the advisors say that it's saving for education. 529s is small ticket, but to the extent that $101,000 is not a small ticket item. So I guess I'll kind of pause and see, Tim, did I sort of explain it right? Or, there's a couple different, just sort of, nuances to that, but just want to see if I kind of presented it sort of, correctly. And then next calendar year, that's going to go up. And I don't know if you noted that you have 5 years. And so if you're looking at estate planning and gifting in general, Paul's absolutely right. This is a good thing to consider. And again, going back for all those good reasons we've discussed up to now, you're leaving a legacy, and what a tremendous gift. And Mythbuster series, it's always one of my more favorite ones. A question that I've gotten a lot recently is 529s can't be used for on-campus housing. That's sort of like the myth that we're busting. A lot of questions around that qualified expense for housing. Is it only for on-campus housing, or can it be off-campus as well? Tim, take it away.
No, it's always a good question, because yes, 529, you can use your 529 for room and board. And many times students move off campus or don't live on campus, their education entity. So yes, you can use your 529 for that off-campus housing or room and board. The litmus test for that, or the what you can take up to, is whatever the school charges for room and board, you can take up to that amount, for your off-campus housing. And so you just check with the school, and what they would what it would cost to live on campus. Use up to that amount, for room and board off campus. So yes, you definitely can use your 529 in that capacity.
And for myth number 2, what if the 529 assets are not used? Do you just lose the money?
Yeah, there are many ways to save, as far as education savings. And one of the advantages of a 529 is, one, the account owner controls the account. It doesn't have a shelf life. Some other savings vehicles, whenever the beneficiary turns a certain age, they take over those assets. And then, while the intention was that they're to be used for schooling, education, training, that kind of thing, maybe the beneficiary feels like they want to go backpacking the national parks. With a 529, the account owner controls the account. And so then getting to the point of what if the beneficiary doesn't use the 529? Very flexible into transferring to other family members. Maybe there's other children, grandchildren involved. You can transfer funds over to those family members. In fact, the federal government, in regard to 529, has a very, very broad definition of a family member. I mean, we're talking, this goes from literally first cousin to in-laws, and so everything in between. So it's very easily to transfer. The 529 has no shelf life. It doesn't mean that the beneficiary turns 22 or 28 or any given age that the 529 must be used. So sometimes maybe initially out of high school, a beneficiary doesn't go to school or a training program. Let your investments continue to grow, so down the road that maybe that beneficiary decides on a school or education training opportunity they want to pursue. The funds are there. Sometimes beneficiaries, will change their mind. They may go through one program only for a few years later, wanting to go back to get further education or schooling into that discipline, or change altogether. The 529 is there at work for that as well. If it went all the way, there's no one to transfer it for. The account owner doesn't want to use it for themselves. That's certainly an option. And then you decide to pull those funds, that would be regarded as an unqualified distribution. And so you would pay, remember, you invested after tax dollars, so you would pay taxes on your earnings and a 10% penalty because you took an unqualified distribution.
Yep. And that's a great point in terms of how 529s compare to trust, where for trust, you really give that money away, where for 529s, you really, like the account owner controls the assets, can change the beneficiaries to, between the children. We did get a question around, I'm a grandparent. Is it better for me to be the account owner, or is it better to open an account as for the parents? So it's really a question of if you're a grandparent, is it better to be the account owner or have the parent be the account owner? And so I'm asking the question here because I think part of that answer goes into like who controls the account, but didn't know if you had some additional color on that question.
Now, like many things, it's a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with either way of doing that. We've heard of some grandparents, they have that discussion we talked about earlier with their children, and they want to open up the accounts, and so they'll name the parent as the account owner, and then designate their beneficiaries, their grandchildren, and then make the contributions using any of the number of ways that we've discussed here so far. Or sometimes the grandparents just want to have be the account owner and do that, and they have maybe several grandchildren and have visibility and manage it from there. There is a consideration the way the rules are now, but this is going to change, and so hopefully in the next year or two that this will not be a factor, that the grandparent account as a grant owner could have a slightly higher or could have a higher impact on the FAFSA. And but the legislation that looks like it's forthcoming looks like it's going to take that off the table, so that will not be necessarily an issue. So you wouldn't have to worry about it. Again, it comes back to personal preference of who wants to be the account owner.
Sounds great. And we have a couple more questions, and we'll ask them towards the end. Shifting gears over to market data trends. Broadly speaking, the value of education continues to go up. As one gets more education, the overall level of income continues to increase. We see that layer cake continue even to and through the market volatility and the pandemic more recently. And also, not only does more education lead to higher income, but it also leads to lower levels of unemployment. We can see that layer cake shift up and down again in this slide. And broadly speaking, the more level of education, higher income, and lower levels of unemployment. And that aligns great with overall the utilization of 529s continuing to increase year over year. We're very close to 16 million accounts, and at the end of 2022, I wouldn't be surprised if we tick over the 16 million total open and used accounts. Overall, for year-end themes, that fourth quarter activity is very important overall for families and in the industry. About a third of annual gross sales, which is money coming in, contributions, takes place in the fourth quarter, and a lot of that takes place in December. And about half of the net flows for the year take place in the fourth quarter. Net flows is defined as money coming in versus money going out. Education is also a family goal. And the holiday season is a great time of year to have that conversation. We touched on the topic a couple different times, a couple different ways, but 22% of 529 account owners are grandparents and 10% are aunts and uncles. So education is a family goal and a great time to have the conversation. One way to have that conversation is through gifting. Roughly 4% of the contributions in the fourth quarter typically is coming in through these formal platforms. We had reference to, UGift. And those for those automatic contributions being a critical thing in terms of just setting it up, and not just setting and forgetting, but every year making those increases over time. We saw from fourth quarter 2020 to fourth quarter 2021 an 8% in that size of automatic contribution. So it's a great time of year to really think about, do I want to allocate more of my income to this longer term goal? And of course, over that 18-year period, it really does ride out the market volatility and just dollar cost averages into that longer term goal. So if anything, a number of people kind of point towards, with the market, being down, it's a great time to dollar cost average into the market. So and that theme of automatic contributions aligns well with that reference towards that nudge book we had mentioned as well. Roughly speaking, we've been looking at the automatic contributions since 2008 timeframe, and lo and behold, it really boils down to $6 a day. It used to be 1 gallon of gas a day, but now the price of gas coming down a little bit. But lo and behold, $6 a day is not just out of line number in terms of just setting up an account, making those automatic contributions, starting small, starting early, and saving efficiently and saving often, to achieve these long-term goals. It's a way to go. Broadly speaking, for industry announcements, product updates, research releases, big picture status board. One of the bigger topics is market volatility, and a number of 529 plans have been adding in stable value into their investment lineup. That red box really just lists out the plans that have or will make add stable value into their investment lineup in 2022. So it's a theme that we're seeing run across the whole industry, as we are seeing, broadly speaking, the inclusion of ESG investment options into the investment lineups. It is a investment type that tends to attract younger account owners and younger account beneficiaries. So it does provide an opportunity for to attract a new audience, and could be interesting. So roughly as of today, there's 33 of 90 529 savings plans offering 44 ESG investment options. It's a status board we track and we will continue to report on. Tim touched upon the expansion of qualified expenses for 529 plans over to student loans, K through 12 tuition, apprenticeship programs, and broadly speaking, it's a topic of interest in terms of just people learning more, getting more familiar with using it. So it's a timely theme because broadly speaking, the goal of saving and paying for college has now expanded towards education overall as well. So and it's a great development. We'll be hearing and learning more over time. And another topic we've been seeing is 529s have become easier to do, whether it's the direct sold channel or the advisor sold channel. It's just easing the process, making it easier to do, easier to open up accounts. And broadly speaking, we expect the trend to continue in terms of just ease of business becoming easier and easier. We fielded a survey of advisors in October 2022. A survey of advisors, and we're going to be releasing it next week. 529 distribution analysis 2022. But broadly speaking, that this shows overall that education financial planning is part of the overall holistic financial plan, that 529s are the primary tool used to achieve that goal. And broadly speaking, that 529s are a multi-generational tool that helps pull that family together, not just your clients, but your grandchildren and great grandchildren as well. So just making that a part of a larger conversation. Looking at the questions and answer, we answered one. Skylar Thiessen of EduFi, what is the trend in withdrawals pre and post pandemic? Broadly speaking, I actually interpret it to be, broadly speaking, 529s have continued to help families to save efficiently and pay for more expenses over time, and that's great. It shows success, for 529 plans overall. So it's a great trend that the distributions for 529s was not impacted by the pandemic pre versus post. But I did have a question for Tim. What is the $25 back to school essential, and how many families did that help overall?
Yeah, it's just using that the minimum contribution of letting of the minimum contribution of $25 and encourage people to get started. And again, to the point, like you were just saying about what happened during the pandemic, and then we've seen people reluctant to get started now with the current market headwinds and the things that are going on. And so, but we found that people that did start, or that they have either through gifting or through some other way, we give away a lot of money as well. Once they get started, they're likely to contribute, and that continues that momentum of saving and investing.
Thank you, Tim. And what is the new grade saving strategy? Can you provide an introduction? This sounds interesting, and look forward to learning more.
It's just different ways of getting at your savings. They're countless, because to like the questions, when's the best time to start, to how much should I save, and to everything in between. There's different ways to make the saving fun. One, I think involve the beneficiary, to talk about saving for education. What we've found is that having that conversation, it creates an expectation, even though you might not be settling down, and it's like you're going to go to a particular school and this is what you're going to do at a young age. But if the beneficiary knows that parents, grandparents, family, wherever it may be, are saving for an education opportunity after high school, then there's the likelihood that's what the expectation is, and they're going to do that. Saving maybe intermediate goals, given a different at each grade point, that you link to increasing your 529, to that at that particular time, and so that as going, you may start out modestly whenever baby is born, or maybe when they start in first grade, and then maybe each grade you're increasing those contributions, at that anniversary or that graduation from that, whether it's elementary school, middle school, to increase it. All this is just designed to reinforce and the habit of saving, and then again at the end, basically what you want to reach is a level of happiness. I like to submit that happiness is graduating with little or no debt and going out to that exciting career opportunity, and living your life not under the shadow of student loan debt for many years.
We have three more questions, and we'll get to them. The first one is a grandparent asked if students are restricted to schools in Ohio only when you participate in Ohio's 529. It's a timely question, and I know that even my uncle who worked for the IRS tried to, had that myth as well. So Tim, please correct the myth buster.
Yeah, I think we can't say it enough, because you're absolutely right. It's still out there. We're asked that a lot, and the short of the answer is no. You can take your 529 anywhere in the country. That beneficiary can. We would like for you to choose our plan and choose an education opportunity here in Ohio. But as I said earlier, that there's not always the case. And so you're definitely not. And to Paul's point, we get asked that a lot too by people that are in either the financial industry or in the know about finances and investments. And and the answer is still no. You're not limited. Now, I want to add, with our plan, we have a variable plan that has a direct and an advisor component to it. Our principal partner in the advisor space is BlackRock. On the direct side is Vanguard and Dimensional Fund Advisors. Some states have a prepaid plan. Now, sometimes the wires get crossed about that, and now there may be a prepaid plan in a given state that does have those limitations to it. So just look at what type of plan you're investing in. But here in Ohio, whether you're a direct or advisor, you're free to use those at any qualified educational entity, trade school, technical school, college.
Sounds great. We have two more questions. My first one is community events, and it relates to, can you give me a little bit more information on the NHL Columbus Blue Jackets? You know, me being a Bruins fan, but I did want to ask about the Columbus Blue Jackets. I guess Ben dropped in the link, an update, but yeah, Tim, if you give me a quick update.
Yeah, we've been really impressed if you pulled a Blue Jackets hat there, but okay, I know you got to be true to your team there. But yeah, I mentioned this also earlier. We love giving away money, and we have among our partnerships with every professional sports team in Ohio, save 2 or 3 of them. And specifically with the Reds, the Bengals, the Guardians, and the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the FC Cincinnati, we give away $10,000 savings awards each season. And very easy. We're in market right now with the Blue Jackets, hence the hockey reference. And anyone, whether you're a 529 account owner now, or not, you can enter this 1 email per day. You can reach it through our social media, visit our webpage. You can get the links. I'm sure our folks are putting those up right now even, so you can go to that. And you enter the contest. And what happens is the grand prize recipient receives a $10,000 college savings award. So if you already do trust us with your savings and investments, that's great money to add to that, which you've already started. If you're new, then this is great seed money to get started. And then each of those sports entities, offer an in-arena, in-stadium opportunity where the grand prize winner and their guests get to come to a hockey game in this case, or football, baseball game, and those respective teams wine and dine them with a suite, and it's just a great overall experience. You get that benefit and fun to it. Although kids are spoiled by those because they think that's the way you go to these games, and so if they go to subsequent games, they're probably asking their parents, grandparents. It's like, oh, wait a minute, where's the suite? But it's all good fun, and we do give away smaller awards, $529 up to that $10,000. And so follow us on social media, visit our webpage to keep up with those, and hopefully you'll enter, and that would be great. That if we find or the recipient of the CBJ was like, hey, I heard you talking about it on the webinar with ISS MI, and lo and behold, look at that. So
sounds great. And the last question, coming in from Rachel, what are you most optimistic about in 2023? And I'll say my response that the broadening qualified expenses, the automatic contributions coming in, demand for education, broadly continuing, and that demand for education planning, and also the new mobile apps, and just the ease of saving, continuing to increase the awareness, the understanding, the energy, and broadly speaking, the momentum around 529s and college financial planning is growing. Tim, do you have a final, do you have a response to that, and then final takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, we endeavor to make it better and try to demystify 529s as much as possible. I mentioned we enhance our web pages because it does us no good, and either our account owners or potential account owners any good. If you go to a web page and you can't figure out heads or tails of what to do or how to get things started, and so we work very hard to make that a positive experience. Paul mentioned the mobile apps. It's a reality of our time here. More and more banking, financial institutions, you can handle these transactions, manage your accounts with a mobile application. And so we've launched a trusted mobile app, and we look to enhance that in the coming year. And to that, I would say don't dismay, don't be discouraged about the stock market. The stock market is a good tool to save and invest for any of a number of things. And in particular, what we're talking about here is the 529. And so keep the faith and stay the course because the expenses are unlikely that they're going to go down. There's unlikely to be a complete across the board universal forgiveness of student loans or a complete universal free college, free education for all. There are going to be expenses, and you have to live it and trust us on this. That saving and investing, and whenever that time comes, and you're just making a withdrawal from your 529 to get at those, and it proves for a carefree experience. And lastly, all of us here at Ohio's 529 CollegeAdvantage, wish all of you and your families and friends a very happy holiday season. And let's all hope that 2023 is a happy and prosperous and healthy new year.
Thank you, Tim. Save and save efficiently. It's a long-term 18-year goal typically. And thank you for your time and engagement today, Tim, and for the attendees here today. Please fill out the post-webinar survey. Replay will be available tomorrow. Please let us know if we can help in any way. In the meantime, happy holidays, happy New Year's, save and save efficiently. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.